Hey, cool crafters, I'm Tiffany Windsor. I am here today to introduce you to another one of the featured teachers at the upcoming Bella Crafts Holiday Craft-a-Thon. Eileen Hull and I have known each other for many years in the craft industry, and as a matter of fact, she first made an appearance on Cool to Craft back in 2010. It's been a while since we have reconnected, so I'm really excited that we are connecting through the Holiday Craft-a-Thon. Eileen, welcome back to Cool to Craft.
Thank you. It's been a couple years.
It's been a few years, and we were just talking about time flies by, but
Sure
we can
does.
always come back and reconnect with our creative girlfriends,
That's
and there
true.
is nothing better than that.
What I knew you to be doing when we last talked was something different than you're doing now. And I think we all do that. We evolve our skills and kind of combine what we like. But I'm the same way. You know, you were talking about having all the different supplies, and I do too, because I try things out and then I try to combine them into the current things that I'm doing. So it's
Yes.
just fun.
Yeah. When I came to Tennessee in February, I had zero craft supplies and I had let go of everything. And so now I have almost 1,000 square feet filled with all sorts of things. And it really reminds me of why crafting was so important to me. And
Yeah.
of course, growing up in a creative family, it was just part of my life. But I stepped out to do corporate and now I'm back enjoying my creative life. And I want to hear all about your creative life, but let's give a
Yeah.
little teaser about what you're going to be teaching at this event.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm happy because I have a new release that is just coming out here in October. So I have 7 products. I have, you want to see them? Or,
Yes,
yeah?
absolutely.
Okay, well, I'm happy to show them. Yeah, when you knew me, I had just started with Sizzix doing dies and just dies, the steel rule, the thick ones. And now I'm doing those still. I'm still making kind of structural dies that create books and boxes and sturdy projects that are made out of a heavy duty material like mat board, chipboard, leather, felt, fabric. That's why I like those steel rule dies because they can cut through so many more materials. I mean, the skinny ones are cute too. Try to find them. This is a set of charms that I also was excited to use as earrings. So I've been playing around with that, and they can go on the side of your journal. Um, these are 2 that can work inside this journal or other journals that you have. And I like to create kind of a system so that each piece could be used with older dies that you have. So one of my design principles is I try to design a die so you can use it in 3 different ways. So those are my little thinlits. This is the big mama. This is it's called the mini book, and it's
Wow.
coming back. It's a 5 by 5 by 1 1/8 inch spine. So we're going to do something really interesting with our spine in the class, and I'm excited about that. We're also going to use the die to cut the pages out of here, but in the kits, I'm going to provide them, but I'll show how to do that. This is a 4-layer stencil called Plate and Pattern, which I kind of imagined as like an old vintage plate. So it depends on how you use it, but there are 4 layers and kind of 2 sets within that. So that's fun. And this is a stamp set, which I was telling you about. It's called Fan Favorites. I had a kind of late deadline and I called upon my fan club to come and share some of the things that they would like to see in a set of stamps. So it's really a fun one.
I love that story. I love
Yeah.
involving the fans.
Well, it's
Everyone needs
cool.
to join the Eileen Hall fan club.
Yes, please. We would love to have you in there. Yeah, I think we're up to 8,400 members and they're very involved. And then the last one is this is a multi-level folder, 3D embossing folder. So it gives a really fun pattern. And I'm excited that it's so big because it can fit on big books. So those are the new dies. And so the class that I'm going to teach is called, I think, Merry and Bright. And so we're just making like a fun little journal, and there's a lot more to go in here. I haven't quite finished it yet. Don't tell Anne.
I
Working
won't.
on it. But you can fill it with whatever you like, with like photos or your shopping list or um, recipes, anything. 5 by 5 is just a nice little size. And then here is the binding, which looks backwards. Do you see backwards or do you see?
I'm not seeing it backwards.
Oh,
So
good.
I can
Okay.
read it that it says Mary. So I think we're
Yes.
good.
Okay. Good. That's what it says. So we are going to learn how I recently partnered with Juliana Avalar, who is a good friend of ours from the old days.
Yes.
And she had a loom, and funny story about that. She and Anne were talking, and Juliana is telling Anne, I really want to get a loom into the paper craft side of things. So they come up with this plan, and the next thing I know, I have a loom delivered to my house, and I'm like, what the heck is this? It has my name on it.
My gosh. Wow. I had not heard that part of the story.
Oh yeah. Well, see, we had a Zoom call, or it was a video call, and they were describing something, but I didn't have the video. I was driving from New York to Virginia, and I couldn't see it. And I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about, but like, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. And then it arrived, and it was like, oh wow, I better figure out how to use this thing. So it's been really cool though. And I mean, how often do you get a product just dropped in your lap like that? So it's
That's
been
a
really fun.
super cool story. I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah. It's been fun. And, I may not have thought of doing it,
Hmm.
but now it's perfect. So, and I'm kind of trying to expand my knowledge on that, but I'm still learning. And so it's kind of fun that we're all learning together. And Juliana's great with resources. And, I watch her videos. So,
Right.
that, and I also love the beads that I've been hoarding for years now can be used in here. And maybe even have to buy new ones to size. And, you
So,
know,
how often are you expanding your product line? Your mind is amazing. And that's always been so interesting to me from the moment that we met because there's one part of being creative and being a crafter. There's another side of being an inventor. So where does this come from?
well, see, I think we all could invent products that we wish were in existence, you know? And so that's kind of where I started with the mat board stuff because I was matting and framing things and I had leftover mat board and it's like, I'm not throwing this stuff out. This is amazing. It's so sturdy, it's pretty, it comes in colors and finishes, suedes, you know. So I kind of pushed that a little to score it and design with it. And then I just thought it would be cool if I don't have to measure it every time. And I could just run it through some kind of gadget that would make it the same every time and then easier for everyone to use. So, I was just kind of extending what I wanted into a product. I mean, you have to be in the right place, I have to know the people to bring it to, but luckily I was in the craft industry already just creating. And so, unfortunately, that was also the time where technology was coming in, the magazines were going out, and it's like, okay, because I was submitting projects to be in books and magazines, and that's where I made my income. So, just kind of looking ahead, it's like, well, it wouldn't hurt to have a product. So, I've developed a tool that was kind of fun one time and I pitched that to a couple companies and it actually came into being. That was exciting. And then I have a line of adhesives with ThermoWeb because I use them in my crafting. And I also had the experience of developing a product that I just thought I should have another product, but it was dumb because I don't use it that much. So I try to make it be authentic to what I use and my whole design, aesthetic. So I don't have a ton of them, but the ones that I have, I really use every day. Like my mat cutter, I used to use that every day. I still use it occasionally, but it's buried under junk now. And a lot of those things I would use now in my die cut machine. But even to cut down, big pieces of mat board, I still use it. And so I just love having tools that really work well and are what I need. And I think a lot of people like a good tool. And
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many tools I've bought that just sit there because either they're poorly made or it's just something I don't do enough to use, but I do try anyway.
Well, that tells me why you have so many fans because you're really thinking about the practical application in when you're designing, and that's what's so important, not just throwing something else out there. Of
Yeah,
course, in the old days, it's like we call it SKUs, putting SKUs
yeah,
out there so that they can
yeah,
go on the shelf in the craft store. And so
right.
that speaks volumes to your connection with
Well,
crafting.
well, I'm a crafter. I mean, that is my basic. I don't really, people get mad when I say this, but I don't really consider myself an artist, although I have started watercoloring. And in that, not that I'm great, but I feel like that is something original. But crafting, a lot of times, is just developing skills and putting them together in different ways. Or, it's not like coming up with the Mona Lisa. Because that's intimidating and it's scary. And who thinks they're good enough to do that? But if you're talking about making something that's useful, and that is something that I do like to have, like I like making journals that are pretty, but I also like them because you can use them for things.
Right.
And there is just, I can't help but be practical about it too. I don't know.
So going back to the Craftathon, you mentioned you put together a kit. Where do my viewers find that kit?
Oh, that would be in my Etsy store. It's
Okay.
just, you go on Etsy, it's just called the Eileen Hull Etsy store. And
Okay.
there are dyes in there. There's different materials that I found. I like to kind of poke around in thrift stores and find cool things and play with them, add them in. So there's some vintage stuff. There's some leather. I've been getting into leather lately. So I invite you to come over and take a look around in there and, see what you find. And
That's
yeah, there are
awesome.
some kits.
Okay.
And yeah, Anne was mentioning that I'm going out of town. Well, I didn't tell her. Things have changed. My that trip got postponed to December. I was going to go to California and teach. Well, now I'm going out to North Carolina because my sister's place was all messed up in the
Oh,
hurricane. So we're going there next week. So I have limited kits, but I'm
okay.
working on them right now. So
Okay.
yeah.
And so if my viewers have not seen information that I've already posted about the Craftathon, this is a 3-day virtual event and there's 12 teachers and Eileen actually her project is so awesome. I think you're teaching for several hours.
Yeah, it's a little involved. It's hard to this is the part that gets a little long and you may not finish it, but you'll get the pattern. So you'll get the idea of however much we can get done and then you can finish that. And you might want to do different colors, but the kit has the beads and everything to make that.
Okay.
So that's
And I learned today that you do lives every week.
oh,
Is it several days a week?
I do two a week, Thursdays at 6 o'clock Eastern, which is a terrible time. I know. I don't know why I did that. And then I go Thursdays at 4, and that's for our UK audience because they were having to stay up till 11 to watch. I have a lot of good friends over in the UK. I recently went over this May and taught over there, and hopefully have another trip next year. I'm not saying anything, just a little possibility. So that'll be fun. And yeah, so I go live twice. And then sometimes if I'm on a trip, I'll do extra one here and there or,
Well,
I don't
that's
know.
one of the things Ann and I were talking about you the other day, and she goes, Eileen is so good. She will go on live when she's standing in line for coffee. And you're so genuine, and that is awesome. That is so
Well,
brave.
well, thank you. I am surprised. This year I did a road trip. I drove out to California in like 5 days, and I happened to have extra time, if you can believe it. And I went to Bryce Canyon National Park, and I was at 9,000 feet. And I thought, I'm going to see if I can go live. And I could. So
Oh,
I did one from there. So you never know what you're going to see.
oh my goodness. So I
Yeah.
want to remind my viewers again that eileenhull.com, I'm going to put links
Oh,
into
thank
the
you.
description, and then I'll also put a link in for your Etsy store.
Great.
So
Thank you.
and I have posted on Cool to Craft the information about the entire event and how you purchase an access pass for the 3 days.
Okay.
And then if you want to, there's several teachers that are selling kits. And so this is a really great way to learn new techniques, to get together with a creative community and be able to ask questions of these amazing designers and crafters. And I know you've taken part in, and this is my first event with Anne. And so you know better than I do how fun it is to connect with everyone.
Yeah, it really is, because I think it happened during COVID that everyone was stuck at home, and it really got people together and in a community. And it's not like you're the only one. And, you know, I look on my lives half the time, people are chatting with each other, you know, and saying, how are you feeling? And I know the other day when, you know, one of our members lost their little dog after 17 years. And, you know, it's more than just crafting. And I love that. So I'm really happy. Yeah. And the events are fun too.
It's so good to reconnect with you, and I can't wait until October 23rd. It's coming up in just a couple of weeks. And I wish you safe travels to North Carolina, and sending my prayers to you and your family.
Thank you.
It's great to reconnect, and I know we're going to have other opportunities to get together in the future. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Tiffany. Great seeing you.
See you soon.
All right.